Welcome to Culture Screen, where we analyze culture. In this episode, we are summarizing the fourth episode from season 1 of The Wire titled Old Cases. The episode first aired on June 23, 2002. In the beginning, detectives Kima and McNulty take part in a court hearing for Marvin Browning, a Barksdale dealer they arrested off the street. They press ASA Dawkins to request for the maximum punishment for the crime, which is 5 years. They do this in hopes of obtaining information about Avon Barksdale and his organization, but Browning rejects this deal and instead chooses to serve out his sentence. We see Detective Polk pays a visit to Detective Mahone in the hospital, where he learns that as a result of his injuries, Detective Mahone will be given an early retirement and a raise in his pension. Detective Polk grudgingly contemplates Mahone's suggestion that he too could follow in his footsteps by intentionally allowing himself to be harmed while on duty. Detectives Herc and Carver also head over to where Bodie is to then discover that he has fled the low-security institution. They storm Bodie's house, but all they discover is his grandmother. Herc apologizes to Bodie's grandmother and gives her his business card. We can see Herc is embarrassed by his own aggressive techniques for entering and searching the home. Later on, we see McNulty and Bunk going over past homicide cases to see if they can link them to the Barksdale gang. Their Sergeant, Jay Landsman, demands that they investigate Deirdre Crescent, a college student who was murdered far from the west side and for whom a D was named as a likely suspect. McNulty agrees to investigate the murder of Deirdre, even though he does not believe there is any connection at all between Deirdre and the Barksdale organization. When McNulty and Bunk arrive at Deirdre's crime scene, they quickly and perfectly reconstruct the murder and end up discovering the bullet and its casing. Major William Rawls is visited by Landsman, who claims McNulty is addicted to himself and that his ego leads him to feel that he is smarter than he actually is. Rawls tells McNulty that if he finishes the investigation in 2 weeks, he will allow Landsman to return to his normal job. Later on, we see Detective Kima and Bubbles talking about the raid on the Barksdale stash house. Bubbles laments the fact that Kima does not know who Omar Little or No Heart Anthony are. Bubbles is then picked up by McNulty, but first, McNulty attends his son's soccer match. McNulty and his ex-wife, Elena, discuss sharing custody of their sons, but the talk quickly devolves into vulgarity. We see Kima studying at home until Cheryl scolds her for spilling highlighter marker ink all over the couch. Cheryl asks Kima to work at the table while the two goof around. Kima notices Cheryl's mobile phone bill and learns that the Barksdale dealers don't use cell phones, since cell phones keep track of all inbound and outbound phone calls. Remember that I am summarizing the entire series, so subscribe and click on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I will be reviewing other TV shows and movies in the future as well. Also, let us know your favorite scene from this episode. Stay tuned. We see Deputy Commissioner Irvin Burrell inform Judge Fallon that his team has no information on the dealers of the Barksdale group. He is dismayed. When Fallon calls to tell him about his meeting with Burrell, while Detective Prez is working back at the detail office doing word searches and answering phone calls. Daniels talks with Burrell and informs him that he may take the case wherever he wants, suggesting they use a wiretap in order to make a case against the Barksdale organization as proposed by McNulty. Back at the office, we see McNulty mentions cloning the beepers of the Barksdale dealers. They talk about the standards for an affidavit to clone the beepers. But first, McNulty must prove that he has exhausted all possible strategies they already have in their department. Essentially, McNulty must prove that no other method of investigation has worked for the unit. Freeman surprises everyone when he reveals that the phone number found at the drug house is D'Angelo's. We see McNulty grabbing a drink with Detective Lester Freeman. Freeman goes on to describe how he was demoted from the homicide unit and transferred to the pawn shop unit after breaking his major's instructions by performing his duties properly and completely. Essentially, McNulty is warned by Lester Freeman Freeman tells McNulty that he sees McNulty is on a similar track as he was. Freeman tells McNulty that if he is ever asked what agency he would hate working for in the police department, that he should never answer honestly. Later on that same night, we see McNulty at Kima's home drunk. She verifies that their surveillance system is unable to track targets inside the project towers, demonstrating exhaustion, and he compliments her on her efforts. The earnings from the Barksdale crew in the prior episode are split up by Omar, Brandon, and Bailey. Bailey expresses regret for using Omar's real name during the robbery. Omar tells Bailey that he isn't concerned about his own safety. Rather, he is concerned about Brandon having to deal with the repercussions of Omar's actions due to his own reputation in Baltimore. We also see Avon Barksdale meeting up with Wee-Bey and Anton Artis, aka Stinkum, both of who are Avon's top enforcers on the street. At their meeting, they discuss the money they lost to Omar and his team. Stringer Bell expresses his concerns to Avon about Omar and how he was able to rob them. He tells Avon that D'Angelo is doing well at the pit, but he is concerned that someone in D'Angelo's team may have leaked information about where they were keeping the stash. When Bodie returns to the low rises, Pooh and Wallace are shocked at how fast Bodie returned home after being arrested. Due to his insecurities, D'Angelo believes his status is being questioned, so he informs everyone about how he murdered Avon's lover, Deirdre Crescent. D'Angelo tells the crew that he simply knocked on her apartment window and shot her when she approached. Bodie is humbled by D'Angelo's story about having murdered someone because he has never committed murder himself. The dealers afterwards are ordered to destroy the new surveillance cameras installed all around the towers. That was episode number 4, titled Old Cases. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. If you would like to see our still photos of these episode summaries, make sure to follow us on Instagram. If you can, please support us on Patreon. It really goes a long way toward helping us grow this channel. I will see you on the next episode. We upload new videos every week, so subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Click the notification bell to be notified of when we upload these videos. See you on the next episode of Culture Screen.